And this is the fiscal year 25-26 budget committee meeting for the Lookingglass Rural Fire District. And our budget officer, Bill Starnes, is en route. He'll be coming in a little bit. So I'd like to start off with a flag salute. Very begin. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It wasn't on the agenda. Does anybody want to offer a prayer for anything or for some guidance tonight? That'd be
Paul,
great.
you or me? Which one? Want me to fire away? Okay, all right. Father God, thank you for the ability to come and plan a budget and just the many rich blessings you've given this department and this community. First of all, for Steve and Justin and all the great volunteers that we have here, Father, may we do them justice tonight in just looking through these matters and discussing them and passing everything. And again, thank you for your rich blessing that you shower on us, and a special blessing for everyone that's here that's serving and volunteering, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. That's really nice. Thanks, Rob.
You bet.
There's a roll call on the agenda. I've already written down everybody's name here. Rob, Tammy Icola, Missy Smith, Dave Smith, James Moulton, Alan Smith, Paul Reardon, Ann Smith, Justin Fox, and Steve Rhodes.
Tammy Icola is here as well.
I thought I said that, but I didn't say her last name, excuse me, Tammy Icola. Oh, are you knocking on her or something? Okay. So, you guys, almost all you guys here are veterans. I think we only have one new person this year. And
Yeah, James.
so, the budget committee organization, if you guys remember, there is no president, secretary, or vice president right now. The committee's free to choose. Everybody here, citizens and board members elected, are all equal. And might want to entertain some motions on to create some officers. I can't be it.
Don't everybody speak at once.
Nominations are open for president.
You were last year? You were last year's president?
Well, let's vote for Rob.
Okay.
I'll nominate Rob.
Okay.
I second
I'll
it.
second that.
All in
Okay,
favor?
Rob Icola,
Aye.
vice president.
Who's going to be vice?
You can take it over right now, Rob.
Who wants to do I have any nominations for vice president? Anybody?
I'll do it.
Okay, Ann, do I have a motion?
Come on, somebody.
I got a motion.
Okay, second?
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the secretary?
Um,
Who's going to be a secretary?
I nominate James Moulton.
My handwriting should not be a secretary.
Doesn't matter because the secretary's on her way, right?
Yes, she said she was going to be here
Yeah, it's a position, not, you don't have to do anything.
It's just an official
That's
title.
what they said once before.
I'll second that nomination.
tonight. Okay, James Moulton, all right.
Okay.
We have officers.
All those in favor? The number one, okay. All right, got to take a vote. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, do the ground rules.
We did the ground rules that everybody's equal here now that you
Okay.
guys have a board.
Okay. All right, so now we have to look at accepting the budget calendar, or
Motion.
look at the budget calendar.
Motion to accept the budget calendar.
Okay. And you're on to start. Okay, do I have a
Been here
second?
before.
I'll second.
Okay, Paul. All right, all those in favor of accepting the budget calendar?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, okay.
Unanimous,
All right, presentation of the budget message.
All right.
I'm gonna present that if it's okay with you guys. Let me see here. I could probably do this, but nobody really, I don't know if this is really gonna work for the people out there in the world, but we can talk about it anyway. Exit, escape full screen. So for May 19th, 2025, so the proposed budget is hereby submitted to the budget committee. It was submitted as submitted by the fire chief to the budget officer and shows resources and expenditures based on historical data and planned operations. we have this on our website. I think I'm gonna hit the highlights if that's okay with you.
Yeah, let's do that, because it can be.
It's all on our website right now.
Yeah, we can.
Tax assessed value cannot exceed real market value. The tax base for this year is based on expected 3.0 growth in assessed value for the district. That comes from a form that's on the county tax tables, and I got it here on the thing anyway. But anyway, it's expected to be 187,425,945.
That's crazy.
So minus discounts and non-payments, and we talked about a little bit about this before the meeting with one of our members here, but there are discounts. For example, if all you good people pay on time, you get a 3% discount. And then I understand veterans or disabled veterans or some get a discount. And then they also, the issue is non-payments, and we can talk about that a little bit. So the result will be a corresponding small increase of about 91,090, which is a little bit, it's about 4,000 more than last year. The proposed budget includes funds to grant match, replacing mobile and portable radios. We're in that with Glide and Central Douglas Fire. We've applied for the CWDG fuel reduction grant in the amount of $626,000 over 5 years. So the first year amount would be included in this budget, $138,277. The VFA grant funding for this year was extended from last year into October 2025. We've already bought about half the stuff on it, so that's going to show a little bit less on this budget later on in the evening. The Wildland Firefighter Staffing Grant, the funds should be right here within the next few days. We just signed the final contracts with it. It's $33,941 this year because we didn't spend a little bit of the money, so it's a carryover from last year as the season ended last year. The SAFER grant in the amount of $447,000 is still going, and this year's portion of that will be $140,000.
There he is.
And I'll note for the secretary here that Bill arrived at 7:20.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, sorry about that. Call it an old age, all right?
The seismic, I wanted to put out that the seismic retrofit grant is over. We don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm very happy to say that.
Yeehaw.
We have capital project again for replacing the oil heating system out in the garage. We did get oil heating system and air conditioning through the seismic grant for the building part of the station. And also to do some simple storage and facility upgrades here around the station now that we've done the grant. For example, our office and bathrooms would need to be painted, we hope, and updated a little bit. Some of the stuff from fiscal year 24-25 were reallocated. It had been approved last year. During the seismic rehab and construction, I know that the board guys know that a lot of stuff happened that ended up not being reimbursable, and then we ended up using some of those funds to pay those things. For example, the building permits, there's some ADA things that are not reimbursable in the grant that we have to pay for, things like that. Let's see. The budget, so our budget has been separated to a general fund, equipment fund, and a grant fund for a few years. And this year, the equipment reserve fund in the fiscal year 24-25 had to be extended by board declaration, and we did that at a board meeting. And so it's allowed to be in place for another 10 years until 2035. The reason they do that is that if we cannot collect taxes and not use them or save them, you're supposed to, unless you're keeping it for a reserve fund, a specific type of reserve fund, whether it's equipment or capital project fund, you're supposed to reimburse taxes and we don't use in that year. So that's why we've had that reserve fund over the years. Let's see, we're required to do a financial review every year. Because of the grants in the last couple of years, it looks like our projected expenditures will be right about the new threshold of $250,000, so we'll have to do an audit. We have an auditor that's charging us $4,000 per audit. She's in the process of doing the last 2 years' audits. So I've included that money this year in our general fund, which is gonna throw our general fund off a little bit. I think that's it for the message.
Does that have to be approved, Steve?
Okay. Yeah,
Does it?
great. Okay.
So I have somebody, do I have a motion? to
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Paul, second?
I'll second.
Okay, David, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved, motion carries. General budget information, Department of Revenue.
I think we covered them, but basically every budget's supposed to have 3 years, 3 past years. So what we have on our budget that you guys, it's a 2-page budget if you guys have it, it's front and back on some of them,
Got it.
is 22-23 actual, 23-24 actual, and then last year's, or this current year that we're not in yet, out of yet, it's budgeted amount. And then we'll have the proposed amount on the other side.
Okay,
I'll say that, I want you guys to know that the 22-23 and the 23-24 actuals are not audited as of yet. We've taken all the figures off of Wheeler Bookkeeping and the grants and everything and plugged them in there. They're gonna be really close, but the auditor's gotta do an official audit on those. I just want you guys to know that before you start, and the public can know that too. The board was we've gone through this process with the audit here for over a year now. And originally, we couldn't find anybody to do our audits. The state's really short on audits, especially for special districts. And then when we did find people, they were quoting between $17,000 and $20,000. But they still didn't have appointments or rooms for us. And then the Department of Revenue, Ann, I forgot her last name, Ann Chambers, I think, she's been working with us.
Thank God it wasn't Smith.
And she found us an auditor who is about Salem. Her name's Teresa Hanford, and she's agreed to take us on as a small district and charge us $4,000 a year as long as there are financial reviews or audits. The financial reviews, 250,000 to 500,000 now. The rules just changed, and then you have to have an audit if you go over 500,000 for the year. So
and that's cheaper, I mean, some of the original quotes were as high as 10,000.
yeah, yeah, we had 2 quotes here in Roseburg for 17,000 and 20,000. So
What a deal. Perfect, okay.
okay, so
So now, presentation of the proposed 25-26 budget.
So I'm gonna go.
I'm assuming you're doing the presentation, Steve?
I think so.
Okay.
We can go down, so the 2-page budget is, like we did last year, there's a budget justification for just about every section on that budget, there should be. And as we'll kind of go through and cover it on the way. I have on the wall the same thing that you guys have sitting in front of you, and it's, I'm just gonna kind of wheel it down as we go through.
Okay.
But the initial is the current and prior year's taxes. So the Douglas County estimates the assessed value will be increasing by about 3%. They estimated that last year, and it actually went up about 6.1%. We got a little bit more revenue than we expected, that's a good thing. There is estimated is 187. We already talked about 425, 945, with increase of 3%. So to get our tax rate, you multiply that by our tax of .0005007, gives us $95,156. You take off discounts and uncollected taxes. I wanted to show you guys something here, and I think Ann will appreciate this too. Let's see here, where is it? It's not up there. Shoot, we tab.
Got the only pin in the building that
Where's
doesn't
my
work.
You got one? Let's go here. There's a 2026.
Mine,
Show over.
Thank you.
Where is it? Actual taxes. This is the actual taxes collected per county in the state of Oregon. And Douglas County, there's 2 counties that are the worst in the state. One of them's Douglas County at 93%, and The only one worse is Harney County. Can you imagine? Ann?
Not a million years.
So that means that 6.9% of our taxes right off the bat, we don't get. So that's $66,566. So total tax revenue is $88,590 for the year. That money that's not collected comes back as prior year's taxes, as people either pay their penalties or else as properties change hands and they put liens on them. So some years we get 3,000 or 4,000, some years we get 1,000. This year we're sitting pretty low, about 1,600. But we usually estimate about 2,500 for the years. So that's $91,090 as the general fund tax revenue for this year, and that's up about $4,000 from last year. Going on, the second one is any other extra revenue we expect. We don't get. There's tax interest on the property tax that is late, so we get $150, $200 of that a year. I'm estimating $160. Donations. Sometimes they're bigger than $250, sometimes they're smaller, but $250 seems to be a good average. We usually put in $900 a year for out-of-district billing. We're able to bill out-of-district residents for motor vehicle accidents, and usually we could bill anybody on Lookingglass Road and some of the county highways. We don't usually bill local residents because they're already paying taxes to us. However, we may choose to do that if it's a criminal type thing, DUI, or some kind of crime things. It's up to us. We're not going to be transferring any money in. We have an old water tender out there that we're going to be selling, and we're going to sell it in this next fiscal year. I'm being optimistic to say $7,500. I hope maybe we can get more. We'll probably list it at 10 or even maybe 15 and then settle. The last one is a grant on SDO does a safety and security grant every November. For about $7,000, we can upgrade we're getting rid of the oil heating system out in the garage and switching to natural gas since we already have that to the building now. So that's a matching grant of $3,500 for half of it. So so that will be a little bit of increase in other revenue for this year. The total will be $12,310. That's if we sell the tender, right? Okay, so that ends up leaving total revenue to spend that with the projected general fund balance of around $43,453 right there at the top of your budget is what we're going to be carrying into the fiscal year. We've estimated with the bills that we're paying from here on out. So altogether we have $146,853 in the general fund to spend. Going down into the actual general fund budget, we're starting out with, is there questions? James or anybody I know? Are you following along, James?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The first one is communications. 911 call center, they have not said that they're going to increase the fee this year, so they charge us $1,800 a year in two separate fees to dispatch for us. And radio pager maintenance repair, we got different pagers now. The county is going to a different communication system over the years. They're actually going to be switching the police to a different UHF system, and we're on VHF, so they're kind of leaving the fire departments behind, and we're going to have to deal with that in the next few years. That's why we're trying to get radios and everything by grant. These pagers have lithium-ion batteries now. We haven't had any go bad yet, but we'd like to keep something in just in case they do. We're looking to get one portable radio. Justin just found one that's kind of a combination radio pager. It's a little bit more than the radios we budgeted for last year, but everything's up a little bit. We're going to try that one, and hopefully on any of these grants we might be able to get more than just that one. We also have one grant. A lot of this stuff's being offset by VFA and Safer, so we have a radio on our VFA grant also that we're bringing in, a portable radio also. Active 911 is a program we use to dispatch, and it's $561 for up to 35 devices. We're using probably less than 20, right? And we'll be paid in May next year again. So we're up a little bit in that area because of the types of batteries and stuff for our pagers, and the portable radio itself is a little more expensive. Is there questions on that one? Okay. The publication legal notices, it's going to be up a little bit this year by $570 because every other year we have to pay for the election. The election's actually occurring right now, but we don't get billed till July, so we'll be paying that in the next fiscal year. And other than that, all the notifications and the budget hearings and all that stuff adds up. They have to be posted in the newspaper. And so it's right about $13.65 every year. And I got last year's actuals here from Wheeler. I kind of go through as we're going down through here, but last year it was $7.95, and we did $7.95 just about exactly. So it's going to be the same again. So it'll be more because of the election. The professional services is a little bit up this year, and there's some changes. Legal services, hopefully we're not going to use any this year. We've had to use some the last couple years, a couple hours worth, because of the publications for the seismic grant. And she's running at $280 an hour. So every time I send a letter or get a contract or something evaluated by her, that's what it's costing us. And she's through SDAO. She's kind of affiliated with them, but not actually in their group. But I hope that we don't have to use that at all this year. We have a contract with Wheeler Accounting, $675 a year. Because they're also doing payroll for Justin now, and they're doing payroll for our wildland firefighter grant. We are actually can get reimbursed for the money in the wildland firefighter grant. A little bit of that every month we're getting reimbursed with. The financial report audit, she's doing 2 of them at $4,000 right now, so that's going to be $8,000 estimated. Physician advisor, our physician advisor has not been charging for the last few years. That used to be a $1,000 charge, so I'm running at $0. So that's an emergency room physician at Mercy who's been taking that on kind of as a volunteer thing. Background checks for new firefighters are no charge with SDAO. We get 5, and then also we can write those off in the SAFER grant now too for new firefighters. Our office assistant, we've been back and forth with Patricia. Right now, Misty Fox is filling that position. We're doing 8 hours a month. They're doing filing, record keeping. Right now, they're building all the training files for DPSST for all of our firefighters. Operations assistant, this is something we brought in last year. And what that is if we have special projects around here, we really came in big during the seismic thing, but for example, yard work, just a special project, whether, for example, Bob's, Scott right now is working on SOPs. He's creating a library for all of our standard operating procedures and stuff. He's got, I don't know, 100 hours in there, but we pay up to 16 hours a month at $15 just to reimburse people that are doing jobs that technically aren't the volunteer firefighter stuff. And the yard work kids, we've been paying them if we don't have anything else going on. So. Physicals, DOT and respiratory. This is also one that's kind of being offset by our SAFER grant. So I have 2 in there if we need people that need to go in and have current. We're requiring everybody over 40 if they're driving our vehicles to get a DOT physical.
Oh, come on.
Every 2 years. That's SDAO saying that. Over 65 is every 1 year. I already get mine myself, so I don't charge you guys. So there you go. OSHA reviews as the new firefighters and stuff go in, and annually we're supposed to, anybody using SCBA, they fill out an OSHA self-questionnaire on respiratory, and then the doctor evaluates it to see if they can can still wear a respirator. If they fail any of those 2 physicals or that exam, you can get a secondary exam specifically for respiratory. We haven't had any yet, but we have some older people around here, so I'm kind of just keeping that in the budget just in case.
Question on that.
Yeah.
So the office assistant at 8 hours a month, is that enough? I mean, are they keeping up? Should we up that to, I don't know, 10 hours, 20 hours, whatever?
It's, a lot of the work they're doing, Justin's picked up some of it a little bit, but I think if somebody actually stays on that 8-hour month, they can keep up with the records and stuff that they're submitting.
Okay.
I do at this point. I'd love to have somebody 40 hours a week though. Not gonna happen. Anyway, so that's a little bit up for the year because of the audits. We dropped some of the stuff down, but then the audits are brought right back up. Going into insurance. Insurance is like a major, I'm gonna tell you, last 3 years, our insurance has gone up. I can give you a little explanation for it though. But our quote for property liability,
Holy.
facilities and district management, everything this month, or this year is $21,635. It's gone up from, in the last 3 years, you can kind of see right there. It started at 14, went up to, excuse me, I'm on the wrong category here. Started at 14, yeah, 2863 last year. That 16,752 was wrong because we ended up getting assessed another insurance policy for in construction, during the construction phase of the seismic. So that figure came off of Wheeler's, and we have to change that but it actually came out at 19 something last year. So it's going up every year more than our $4,000 coming in. I will say that there's a couple reasons it also went up. Is our vehicles, that the new tender, I was really naive, and I've been real naive about a couple things. First of all, this seismic retrofit increased the assessed value of our buildings, so they raised our insurance to cover the building. Now, we got all kinds of benefits from it, whether it's a roof, we got new doors, we got the carpets, we got walls, it's stuff we would have had to do in the future anyway, but yeah, it raised the thing, so our insurance is more expensive. The other one was another one was the tender that we got from the state. It replaced a tender that we had insured for $30,000, and it's being insured for like $425,000. So that's the hidden the hidden things about grants. And I was pretty naive about that. Whatever. Keeps on going. Workers' comp's been going up a little bit every year. However, we're able to recoup the workman's comp for the wildland firefighters through the OSFM grant, and we were able to recruit the workers' comp for Justin's position through SAFER. So even though it's actually the total bills around $7,000 out of our general fund, only about $2,500 comes out. Supplemental health, we provided that for the volunteers for years. They're not projecting an increase on that. And what that is some of our, if they get here at the station, there's a disability and some medical coverage above and beyond workman's comp for them, especially if it's a long-term disability. And so a little bit of life insurance in it also. And then the last one's MedCom. That was a benefit we had done for years to anybody that's on our department can have that paid for them annually. That's the fee for the ambulance service here in Douglas County. The thing about it is I have more volunteers than 12, but people just don't turn it in. So if they don't turn it in, I don't pay it, and they get to pay it out of their own pocket. But I'm not sure why they do that every year. So as you can see, this area of the budget, this line item is right around $10,000 more, and that's insurance. I don't know what the answer is going to be for that. And as we get get down here to the bottom, what you're gonna find out here this year for the first year. Last year, we came in, we brought in 87,284 into our, from tax revenue, and we spent 87,108. That was the first year we were almost dead even. This year, we're not even. We're gonna be losing money out of our reserves if you guys approve this budget as it is. And I don't have an answer for you. We're good for 4 or 5 years, but we're gonna have to start addressing some of that as the stuff just come in. But as we go through, we'll talk about that more. That's the biggest thing right now is insurance. And I think these grants that we've gotten are really great, and they've really helped our department, but they have some consequences to them. So. Office supplies, we're down a couple $100 from last year. I'm trying to hold the line. We have one laptop that's down. We had it budgeted last year, but we didn't buy it, and we're gonna try to pick one up this year. Office supplies have been holding pretty good. The toner and all that stuff's pretty expensive, and that's about right where it's at. We usually go through 1 or 2 rolls of stamps a year, so that's in there. We try to keep one new fire code or standard up a year. There's about 100 of them, and we just, something that we use, like right now tonight, we were researching the fire apparatus code, what equipment has to be, especially on that new tender. And we're dealing with one from, what year was that from?
2009.
2009.
And the most updated one that they're using is 2016.
16. Our website it's up to $100 a month now. However, that's covered by our Safer grant, so we're not doing that. So we're actually down $200 in the office supplies section this year. It didn't quite overcome the insurance raise, but
Chipping away at it.
I'm trying to list a little bit. The dues and memberships, NBFC's National Volunteer Fire. I pay it for 4 of our officers. We used to pay for more, but we're down to 4 right now. So me, Justin, Bob, and Bridger are members of it. Gets us a lot of benefits for training and just what's going on across the country in the volunteer firefighter thing. SDAO charges it's actually about $480 fee for what it was last year for being part of their, they're like a co-op basically for insurance and stuff. Ethics Commission, we get $85 bill every year. I think we get that at the Grange too.
Yep.
Oregon Fire Chiefs Association's $85. That is one that if we stay in that organization, we get 2% off of our insurance. With best practices, it's one of the 5 factors. Oregon Volunteer Firefighter Association, I pay a minimum, this kind of minimum fee, $155 a year. They conduct statewide academies and stuff for the volunteers, and it's a lobbyist for volunteer fire departments and all. So, Umpqua Fire Instructors, Fiberglass Trail, that's been off our budget for a year or 2 now. And in fact, that trailer is supposed to move out of here sometime this summer and go up north. We may not see it again. It's a really good trailer to have. We've had it for a long time. It's supposed to be rotating through the county, but it ended up being in our parking lot. So we're down $40 a little bit just because I dropped a couple members on the NBFC membership. And one I was trying to add was the Oregon Fire Directors Association. I went to their convention I got a scholarship to go to it this winter up in Bend. That one, as far as our directors, is probably one of the most valuable ones. It's basically board members like you guys all get together with the fire chiefs for 3 days and do a lot of training. But it's based on your not on our budget, but on our assessed valuation of our district. So for us, it's around $550 a year. And if you've never been to it before, we can probably get a scholarship for you. But I just wasn't willing to raise that this year with the way the budget is. If you guys ever choose to go that, we usually get offered sometime in November or so for a scholarship to that. So if you guys want to go to that.
What is the cost of it?
It's like $495 on top of being a member of so you're talking about $1,000 total to send somebody. Where do we go? Oh, vehicle operations. Shoot, I'm not keeping up with here, am I? 606. Anyway, I'm holding that exactly the same as last year, $18,700. Our fuel is actually, has been going up, and in fact, last year we actually went at $7,570 for fuel. However, this last year we've been doing a lot of, well, first of all, there's just more driving here with the wildland staffing guys here doing this summer, and Justin's doing a lot of work, driving all over the place. And this year we've also been, the folks that are going to EMT, they've been driving in North Douglas with our vehicles. That's going to be over with here this semester, and that's going to take a lot of fuel back out of it, I think. Our repairs, we budgeted $36.50, and that's, I took a little bit of money out of something else for that. I just want to say that our repairs last year was another reason that we're coming in a little low on money on the proposed general fund this year, because we had an $18,000 bill for the pump on engine 31. We had to make a decision whether to replace that or try to find a new truck. And the mechanics told us that the trucks and everything else is in good shape. They need to get the pump fixed. So it's got low mileage. It's just an old truck. The vehicle maintenance, we normally have a set of batteries every year. All those things are on battery tenders, but some will go off. The maintenance and safety checks we do are about $600 a piece for each unit, where they're changing the oil and then put them up on a rack up at Mobile Diesel Supply up in Sutherland. We're not going to be doing 1060 or new tender because we have a grant, part of the OSFM grant. They pay us $3,500 a year to do maintenance and repairs on it. Let's see, and then the brush trucks are a little bit less, and the small vehicles, we just try to keep the oil change and keep them lasting for years. We've been trying to get ourselves a canopy or a shelf for the Chiefs pickup for a few years to be able to carry some equipment. That's another one that if our fuel, for example, is more, that's where I take money from in this account. So the last couple of years we've been using that money for that to cover tires or cover batteries or cover fuel. So I like to keep it here. If we get a deal, that's a 2007 pickup truck. If we can find one, then we'll try to pick one up and start carrying other equipment on the truck that we need, like for traffic safety and that kind of stuff. Tires, our smaller units are running about $1,400 now, up to that for tires. And then I usually keep one just additional replacement. Our tires don't wear too fast on most of our vehicles because they don't get a lot of mileage on them. Our smaller vehicles get more mileage, so the big vehicles, I think, will be okay. One issue that we do have is a lot of our vehicles' tires are getting over. The official industry standard is 7 years on commercial vehicles, and a lot of ours are getting over that. They don't have very many miles, but they supposedly start rotting inside out. What we've done in the past, like the old tender had like some 30-year-old tires on the back. What I usually do as a stopgap, or at least the priority, is I replace the front steer wheels, so we don't blow out any front wheels. Because if we blow out a dual, we can survive that. But blowing out a front wheel, especially with the fire trucks with all the weight and being up high, it usually doesn't end well. So, we'll have to address that in the next couple of years. Start putting tires on them. I'm holding that at 18.7. Facility maintenance repair is down a little bit. And a lot of the reason for that is that because of the seismic grant, we got a lot of new stuff that's brand new now and covered by warranty. But the door maintenance, we got all new roll-up doors now, and they're all under warranty. Plumbing, I keep a little bit every year. We don't have too much of the plumbing exposure, the water heater and a couple things back there. Cleaning supplies, as far as paint, we got paint for everything that's been painted here, and we have more paint than we'll ever need. We were replacing fixtures here at the station with LED over the years. They replaced all the fixtures with LEDs for us, so. And then emergency generator, we service it. One year we do a big service, and then the other year we just change the oil, so. Stuff, spotlights outside for lighting in the parking lot. Herbicide weed control around the station, insect control. Backflow check, we just got billed for that again. You guys all probably did, didn't you? Or a lot of you guys. Backflow valves for.
Yep.
And
We did.
I don't have a crack repair or fill. We're gonna have to address that, but I do have it in another place here in the budget. So our asphalt out there is starting to, we had it patched and filled a bunch of cracks probably about 8 years ago now. So we're just trying to burn the weeds out of it and then start looking at doing that again. Our annual extinguishers, there's about $650. We have extinguishers all over the place now. We have them on each unit and in the station, on the fuel islands. And we have an eye wash station, and that stuff is quarterly. We change that. We're not going to do any ADA evaluation repair. We did get some of that through the seismic grant that we paid for, include the parking lot and the signs and all that. So that's what I'm going to do for this year. No more. And the security every month is $45. It's 12 times 45. They monitor and maintain our security system here with the cameras and everything. So that one was a little bit down also because of the maintenance not being needed on a lot of stuff here. 6008 utilities. The internet's been up about $5 the last few months. Water's up a little bit. Electric's up a little bit. Oil and natural gas, I'm expecting that the heating oil, if we get that heating system, that's going to disappear, and then our natural gas will probably go up, but at this time it's kind of a push. Our ATT phone service plus the iPads and everything we got for the state, that was another state grant for doing reports and stuff. They gave us another hidden cost. That's about $165 a month. And we have not done the online and virtual meeting service yet. There's a state law that many meetings are supposed to be ran on Zoom or Teams or something now. They pushed that back or delayed it a little bit for departments, and there's other ways to do it too. You can do phone things just so that somebody has the ability to respond to it during the meeting. What we're just been doing on our board meetings is we advertise like we're supposed to. I post the video of that meeting that night. It still does. Still not like being live here, so we're gonna have to deal with that at some point. So anyway, we're hoping that with all the LED lights and the other systems and stuff that electric maybe will be down a little bit or whatever. However, we do have the mini splits now in this part of the station. As long as I keep these guys from icing it up or heating it up too much, hopefully keep the utilities down. Training education is just about the same as last year. SDO training for 2 members. I know Paul just went to a meeting downtown. That was about $80, I think they charged us for human resources. EMT seminars. If we have EMT folks that fall behind on their hours and stuff, we can send them to the weekend seminars where they pick up all their hours and all that kind of stuff. That might be one this year that's going to be used somewhere else. I don't think we're going to have a need for it, especially because most of these guys are going through class again right now. At DPSST, we get classes offered. A lot of times the residents and all that stuff, there's actually dorms up there we can use. Sometimes there's not, and we pay it per diem when they go up to that for it's a weekend class. So there's a variety of classes for these folks related to structure fires and everything else in the world. And then any FEMA or OSFM class, I try to encourage these guys to do to get out and see real training from all around the country and everything. FEMA's been doing some stuff up in Portland area. They've done stuff here even in Winston and Roseburg. And we have some stuff coming up in the year. So I do per diem, like we'll let them use one of our small vehicles, but we'll have to put them up in a motel or hotel and feed them for the day. It's not too often, but it's a little bit. We do one burn to learn expense per year. That's a full LPG tank out there. And lately the state's been coming down too, so we're also powering up their state prop when they come in. EMS training CPR is down a little bit actually because Justin's our instructor now, and it's just costing us $10 a card for everybody. So, and then EMS training, there's other types of classes. In fact, that's probably going to be a little bit over this year, the 300 estimate. I don't know if we're going to have to charge that other than for carbs.
No, Max is covered in safer.
Yeah. Certifications, license, either EMT or EMRs, they recertify every year, so we pay that. And also, as our firefighters, candidates, and our cadets and stuff all get to firefighter 1, we have to pay a fee to the state for a final background check and fingerprints.
But there's also, so there's a grant that I've been having them fill out when I get certified for the first time that they actually don't charge that.
Okay, good. Cool.
But they can always, because it is a grant,
Yeah.
and they can always deny it, so.
For materials and supplies for our training props and stuff, I don't have too much in there this year. We have a really good pipeline now with Roseburg Forest Products, and we're getting all the lumber and stuff we need to build props and stuff. So usually what we're buying is screws and brackets and that kind of stuff when we're doing this stuff. Last thing is, I'm not gonna, IFSTA's reference manuals and stuff, I'm not gonna do that anymore. We have an online IFSTA service for training now, so we're not stocking their books are $200 a piece now. I don't know if there's probably one in here, it looks like a giant dictionary.
And they just came out with the 8th edition.
Yeah. So it's just about right about the same for training again this year. Personal protective equipment is a little bit less, maybe $100, $150. The reason that is I'm offsetting almost everything with safer. Anybody new coming in, we're offsetting the costs. So this is just kind of maintenance for older firefighters and candidates, people that we've had around here for a while. The passports are little tags that go on your helmet. It's a standard system throughout Douglas County. We use those on every fire, especially mutual aid fires. And then flash hoods are the thing that goes underneath your helmet, keeps your ears and neck from burning. So let's see. Wildland protective equipment. Basically, wildland, we use a large long sleeve cotton t-shirts underneath your stuff as a base layer for wildland. Goggles, a few of those. The t-shirts, goggles, and wildland gloves. Wildland stuff in general is not covered by the SAFER grant, so we're still having to buy those. However, I've been able to, when we buy wildland boots that are NFPA approved right now, I'm going those through SAFER, and we're calling them station boots or work boots or something, so we're able to offset those for most of the new folks. SCBA's batteries, we go through a lot of batteries on them, about $300 a year. We just had them flow tested the other day, and all the batteries were replaced again. They only use one type of battery, a commercial or industrial energizer. It's the only one that the Scott will honor the warranty with if you use them. I guess other batteries, when they're in there, there's a constant draw because they're all computerized, and if they open up in there, they'll eat up the circuit boards, and that's not covered by warranty, so we don't want that to happen. Mask bags protect the mask, so as new people come in, they have a nice soft covering inside, so they don't scratch the mask face. And then there's a variety of pads and packaged wipes that we use for cleaning and sanitizing the mask. PPE inspection and maintenance, we do that and then also doing washing, we're mostly doing washing here. If PP, if we get oil or gasoline or something out on it, out in the, or some other chemical, we have to send them out to be professionally cleaned. Northwest Safety Clean does that up in Washington right now. And then any miscellaneous tears, burns, that kind of stuff, they also will put patches on and stuff using Nomex thread and that kind of stuff. Fire equipment supplies, we, a little bit less again. We're using, we're trying to use more pre-mixed fuel, the canned pre-mixed fuel, because what happens is when we mix fuel and we don't use our tools for a while, we gum up the saws and everything, they end up having to do maintenance. So we've been using the quart size pre-mix. We're also getting the gallon size also with the stabilizer in it. It's worked out really good. Traffic control signs, we already have new ones, we're not buying any of those this year. And then we use those pucks for now, the little LED pucks instead of flares. So they're a little safer, they don't roll off the road and start fires, and they're actually pretty bright and they're cheaper. The only thing is people like to drive over them, so we end up replacing them or a year them up. Yeah, there's it's really cool. I don't want to give any advertisements here on the video, but Weimark's got like packs of 3 of them for $20 or something, so it's a good deal. Hose and appliance, we got some adapters. In fact, these adapters this year are kind of a special one because when we go out to Camas Valley, they don't have any hydrants or anything out there. We're filling up off a pond that has a homemade kind of hydrant on it, and they're using cam locks. So we had to create these adapters that go to cam locks so we can fill up water out there. Otherwise, you got to drive all the way back. Well, even Tinmount doesn't have a hydrant. You got to drive into either Walla or else you drive all the way back here to Lookingglass. And then any hose repair, appliance repair and stuff, we have that on a little bit. Hydration, on-scene nourishment and cooling. I keep a supply of snacks, foods, protein or whatever, so when we're out on calls, if we're out for a long distance. We're still running a good supply of water this year. We got all that free stuff last year from Budweiser, and that's going to eventually run out, but it's not.
Budweiser water.
Yeah, Budweiser water. There's one right there.
Budweiser?
There's one right there. And then also the Liquid Death they brought out this year. We got cases
Yeah, it's
of that.
a lie. It's
Yeah.
water. Yeah.
Anyway, I $600 is going to be a little high for that. We also, I also will tell you that that's part of that $600 goes to on our 5th Thursday pizza nights. We pay for the pizza out of that fund, usually about 60 or 70 bucks. And that doesn't happen very often during the year, 4 times or something. The last thing we do is a sensor for gas, or for gas monitor, especially because of the natural gas pipeline we got going through here. And one of them, it's got a carbon monoxide, O2, flammable liquids, and hydrogen sulfide. One of them goes out every year. They're just an electronic thing that plugs in. It's down a little bit, about $100 again this year. Medical is down about $400. We, at least my proposal. So we, all the normal supplies and everything are about $550 a year. This year, Justin set up, since we have EMTs now, we can go back to doing GCS, glucose monitoring stuff. So we're picking up a small set of that and the strips. Because you actually do finger punctures and stuff, we can't do that unless you're EMTs. And then also, in the past, we carried auto injector epi, and those are running about $600 for a set now, and they're only good for a year. So the last few years, we actually weren't carrying it, and now because of the EMTs, we can get epi in single doses and vials and actually draw it ourselves and do it, so it's a lot cheaper. Data supplies, every time you use AED, it costs us $330 now for the pads and batteries. And we have 2 different types of AEDs. One of them, the battery goes bad, even when you don't use it sometimes, so we have those. Both of the models, the AEDs we have now, have just been kind of deemed obsolete, where they're replacing batteries for the next 2 years, I think, and then we're gonna have to start looking for, we're looking for grants for that too. Not only AEDs for us, but for AED for the Grange and AED for the school. Maintenance, repair, miscellaneous medical equipment supplies like bags and our stuff, $100 in there. And then we have a AED battery discharge pad. It's $130, and so the lithium ion batteries that come out of those things, you discharge them before you dispose them. There's rumors of EMR and EMT billing for some of us volunteer fire departments that are non-transport coming up, that has been for the last few years that there would be a new legislation allowing us to bill for supplies we use and stuff too. So if that happens, we might actually derive some income out of.
That would be a pain, that was.
Yeah, it will be, but
all that fun stuff.
it will be having to do collections and all that other stuff. But anyway, there are rumors that may be coming down the pike here. Equipment testing, certification, these are all tests that have to be done by OSHA every year for SCBA's. They just got bench tested the other day, about $75 a piece. We didn't have any failures this year. All we had to do was change the batteries. Our SCBA's, we got those on a grant a few years back. They have a 30-year lifetime warranty on the bottles. And units, they're $6,000 to $8,000 a piece is what we paid on that grant. So they owe us 30 years worth of warranty, I think. They're a pretty complicated piece of equipment for us. Fit tests are a OSHA requirement that each year there's a computerized, like a regulator that you wear a mask, you go through a bunch of movements to see if that thing leaks on your face. So it's quite a exercise. It's another OSHA requirement. Breathing air equipment, we maintain our own cascade system here. We do 4 tests a year. They're like these pre-made kits. It's $688 a year for it. So they just switched companies last year. The other company we had went out of business. So this year they're $688 for 4. Annual compressor maintenance, that'll be coming up in July. It's $745 for our air supply to keep our air, not only air testing and everything, keep the compressor up and running. Vehicle testing, annual pump test, we just went through that with 1030 and 1061, our older tender. We didn't have to do 31 and tender 1060 this year because they both are 31 got tested when the pump was repaired, and then 1060 was brand new. It was pump tested at the factory before we got delivered here. But anyway, they're up to $550 a piece now. Who are we using this year? They just came down. There's a new company. The company we were using out of Eugene, Hughes, has gotten just way crazy on it's called True North. They're coming down out of Woodburn or some area now or something. Really good guys. It was a real good process. I don't know, you guys saw last week or two, there's a trailer sitting out here and they were pump testing. Every year Glide comes here, and then 10 Mile usually comes here, and other volunteer departments. We set up that trailer at one of the 3 departments, then we all go there and get tested at one time, so that way we all get to split the costs for per diem and lodging and all that stuff for the testers. The last thing is something that I've been using that kind of a bank account, because we're supposed to test our hose annually. Some of our hose doesn't get used annually, and there's a company that tests for 35 cents a foot. When we test it, we've tested it in the past, it's a process that takes us months, because when we're spending our drill nights testing. So in the last couple of years, we went out and got a bid so that a company will come in one day, they have a crew, they pull all the hose off, test it in the parking lot, put it back on for you, and leave. And it's a much better process, and I don't like us wasting our valuable training time on maintenance. I just want to let you know that, so. And this hose testing turns into weeks, month-long processes. However, like I said, we don't use our hose that much, so even though it is, I use that money as a kind of a bank account in the testing section. That's one of the things that goes first out of everything. We haven't had too many hose failures other than wildland hose, because it's only single jacket, it's not double jacket like a regular hose, so it'll blow just from burns and getting old.
I think we actually cover that during summer staffing this year.
Oh, yeah, you guys,
a lot of these
yeah, we
people
can do that.
will be getting ready to go for their fire too, and hose testing is one of the things they have to do, so.
That's a good point, Justin. The only problem is that 6,000 feet's only half our hose. We got 12,000 feet up there. Anyway, the next one's uniforms. It's right about the same. The t-shirts, we're looking at $15 or $20 a piece. We changed vendors actually, and are almost able to do them kind of in-house now at a discount. So that works out pretty good. Ball hats for our new guys and some new ones that we're out. And then pullovers, we give them a chance to have a sweatshirt, especially the guys that they come up to Firefighter 1. I think Justin's wearing one right now. It's kind of keep us warm and get outside. Badges. I never knew this. I was just been advised of this over the years, but we are required to have badges to prove what you are, and they're supposed to have what you are, whether you're a medical, EMT, firefighter, all that kind of stuff. We can get one of those companies, not Galls, Blackstone or somebody. They have a relatively cheap pot metal badge for like $39 to $50 or something. So we're working this year on uniforming our people and getting badges, especially for the ones that get Firefighter 1. And then on calls, so you know who's working on you, what their skills are, and what their name is in case something happens.
So the other option for this is we tried to do it, the ID cards, but for a printer to do it, it's like $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the quality of printer that you buy, and then however much, I think it's like $200 for so many blank cards, and then the ink and all that stuff. So, and every single time that they got a new certification, technically we would have to reprint them a new one.
We North Douglas has a machine up there, and they made us cards a couple years ago, but they don't have a very quality printer. Within a year of carrying them, they're blank basically. So and then uniform shirts, we've been working towards some kind of informal polo shirt, or I had a really nice polo shirt I had made up just for like $30 or $40, but my wife got bleach on it when she was washing it, so it's no good anymore. I wear it when I'm mowing lawns now. Anyway, so versus a uniform or in lieu of a uniform, we might have a polo shirt or something. It's a little bit cheaper option, and the uniform shirts are pretty inexpensive right now. We have there's a possibility that Central Douglas changed from dark blue to black, and they have a warehouse full of uniforms somewhere. And one of our guys that used to be in Winston, Captain Torres, has just been assigned out to their Station 1, which is their logistics area out there in Dixonville, and all those things are sitting in boxes. So he tells us that he has 1 million dark blue uniforms out there.
All right.
So in the next, I don't know, when he gets a chance, they're promised to us, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're looking at July 1st, probably getting them, and it's actually a huge thing, because the pants themselves are dual compliant pants, which if we bought those, they're $300 to $400 a pair. And then even the uniform blouses are dual compliant, and those are about $200 to $300 a blouse.
So that meaning that they're fire resistant and they won't melt down like polypropylene or polyethylene or whatever you're wearing. So that may offset that. We don't know exactly amount of sizes and stuff, but their department, it's pretty representative of the population up here, so there's probably some big guys, and there's probably some short guys, and there's probably some skinny guys, and everywhere in between, and girls. They don't have too many women working for them now, if any.
One that I know of.
So we will still have to buy some more, but not too much. Materials, is there any questions on that, man? I've just been buzzing through this. Okay, community safety and education, we're keeping it right the same. We're getting a lot of materials out of State Fire Marshal now, but there's some stuff we don't get, that particular stuff for like the school, we try to, instead of just giving them, I hate to say junk, because some of the stuff that comes from the states kind of, I don't know who thought of that order, but, so I know we like to do pens, pencils, rulers, and stuff that they can actually use in the classroom, so we do that usually, and dress sign materials, I only have $200 budgeted for that, but they're more than that, but the other supplies we have, I can make up for that in that budget. I think they're about $350 now for a package of the dress signs we buy. And then fire extinguisher education. Before school, we like to plan to do something with the teachers where we can actually get a fire extinguisher demo out here. Or we may have Umpqua Fire come out and do it for them, so they actually get to use a fire extinguisher or a fire extinguisher simulator to learn how to use them. And we take that time sometimes too to just go over what their plans are at the school and what they do when the alarm goes off. The last one is in the general fund is miscellaneous goodwill, and that's stuff like flowers, cards, whatever, good get well stuff, funerals, that kind of thing. And that 300 seems to be working as this year we spent 250 in that category, or 221. It seems like it works pretty good. Justin's been, now that we have an employee, we keep track of birthdays and all that stuff better, so each month, we haven't done it for the board yet, have we? We gotta get the board's birthdays. So then we, each month we sing happy birthday at the meetings and give them a card. So that's the general fund. Materials and services, so it's up, and the main reason it's up is because of insurance. And I want to go on down. The last part of the general fund is capital outlay, so that's bigger stuff. So I've been working with the board on this for the last few months, but those storage containers we rented from Haley Tractor during seismic, they were reimbursed while they were here. The biggest storage container out there is a 40-foot with side doors and everything. It's brand new, and they wanted between $8,800 and $9,000 for it. They gave us a little credit for renting it, and then they've agreed that if we do a $2,000 donation slip, like since we're a 501c3, that they'll sell it to us for $3,000. So we want to keep that thing here. We have a lot of stuff here that we have to keep forever and ever, amen, like our files and all that stuff. And our plan is to move that over to the other side of our pole structure out there, and using the lumber and stuff that we have from Rosewood Forest Products, making a lean-to there, so we'll have an exterior parking area for the vehicles, keep everything up out of the weather. So, and I told Haley that if we do this, it's going to be after July 1st, because we didn't have the money this year to finish off paying. So, and then the board's going to have to approve that at the next meeting anyway, so if they want to. Asphalt repair, I put a little money in here just for using the Roundup and stuff we have to kill the weeds and the cracks out there and just start filling cracks. I think rather than we paid a lot of money to have that done 6 or 8 years ago, and it didn't last very long. So I think, I know that Coastal and Co-op and all those guys sell stuff that we could even go out and just hit it a little bit during the summer. The last part is the other half of the building heater I have under that area. That'd be $3,500 would be our side of it. I also got about $1,000 I was asking for bathroom, office, and room improvements, because after this whole grant thing, that's the only thing left in here that needs to be painted. probably could use a new water heater, the sink in there and all that stuff, just bring them up to a little bit nicer. And it's a little bit less than what we had budgeted for last year, but that was at 88,000. Any other expenditures? I have to list if we have a contingency, so we have a contingency for $15,000. In a good year, and in the past years, up till, let's see, actually it's off this budget now. About usually if we had extra money left over from stuff, we would transfer it to the equipment fund, or equipment reserve fund. We haven't been able to transfer anything for the last 3 years. And that's just I don't know, just another example of our tax rate and what we're spending in the current fire department. So total general funds, 121,097. If everything got spent there, we'd have $25,756 to start the next year. And then that's the unappropriated imbalance. And then total, everything adding up there after we get taxes in and everything this year would be 148,853. So that's the general fund. Now, I've never brought you guys a budget that was more than what we brought in. And we have a reserve that we can deal with, probably keep 5 or 6 years. But we've been talking about we've been talking about this every board meeting, just talking about a little bit. There's a bunch of alternatives we could do. Either where it goes back to being an ops levy. I know that nobody wants to raise taxes, I want a taxpayer to, or a bond to buy a fire truck. We can merge with 10 Mile or Central Douglas or somebody else. In the next 3 to 5 years, we gotta figure out one of those things. We're kind of working, I was messing with this last night about how, like the ops levy, we had an ops levy year from 2005 to 2010, which is what originally replaced our fleet out there in the garage. And I think that was an extra $1 on top of the 50 cents we have now, and that raised $800,000 over 5 years and we replaced all the fleet. Plus we had enough money left over that we bought the last brush truck. And that money is what our reserve, we're still running off that reserve this month, right? In our reserve fund. So
So if we were to do an ops levy,
those are for 5 years, the temporary levy, because we can't change the tax rate permanently, unless you merge with somebody. And then another way would be, you can do an ops levy for 10 years if you're buying a fire truck. For example, fire trucks now are running over $600,000, so, 10 years, 60,000 a year would be, basically, you'd be a little bit less than the 50 cents per thousand we're doing right now. Probably 45 cents per thousand on top of our tax rate would buy a fire truck, but it'd be in place for 10 years, so you're increasing this. But I just want to let you guys know, just kind of warn you on that, and then we got to start talking about, now we got a new board coming in again, we got to start talking about what we're going to do. It usually, especially the levies, are about a 2-year process to get them. We got to go out and get petitions signed, go out and knock on doors and all that kind of stuff, then get them on the election. Then when you get them on the election, the taxes don't start being collected till the next tax cycle, and then that means you don't get them till the November after that. So we just got to reach out. Okay, so the back page. You guys okay? Anybody want a break? No. Okay. The equipment fund. Our equipment fund and our grant funds are a little healthier than our general fund right now. The proposed start is 134,579. We're down about 30,000 from last year, and that was 18,000 of that was that repair on 10/31. And we also had what was the other one? We had 2 other major expenses. Oh, we had to pick up the 8,800 on the building stuff, the permits for the grant, for the seismic grant. And something else on that, the first initial $5,000 application fee. Anyway, interest from savings is usually about $250. I'm putting the sale of the tender. If it's not there, it's can either be in the general fund up there in the front, or else it can be here. It's gonna be one or the other. So, total resources would be $142,000 in this equipment fund. Fire equipment purchase, we've got an airbag controller, we've got an airbag system that we need a little bit bigger controller to run it. It's another type of rescue equipment for vehicle rescue. We have two medium SCBA masks. Medium seems to be the only size that anybody wears, and we have some larges and smalls. We're either gonna try to trade them to somebody or else just buy a couple more. We don't need any nozzles or brass or anything on the OSFM tender this year that we're not getting from somewhere else. And then OSFM staffing grant, I usually do a little match here. So what we do is the workman's comp. I try to keep all the money I can for the staffing grant, it's usually 35,000 this year, it's a little bit under 33 something. But I try to keep that for actually firefighters. So it increases our workman's comp, and it increases, and then also our payroll. So I used some of our reserve fund. Last year we didn't ever use it, but this year to offset that cost so I can keep the firefighters in the field for the summer. So part of that workman's comp cost will come back to the SAFER grant and the OSFM grant, and then part of it will come out of this. VFA matching grant. The VFA grant this year, we had $18,840 and it was split in half, so it was actually 90, it's down below, 94. They extended it, it was kind of weird, it usually is over in April, they extended it through October, so it's actually gone into the next fiscal year. And we bought about half the stuff already, so we're gonna have a less expense next year for that VFA grant, about $5,100 that we are gonna still be paying. And then we'll be getting back down in the bottom under capital resources, we'll be getting back 9420. Apparatus purchase. I've been appropriating $50,000 a year for a used engine in case we break something. It's like a reserve fund. It's in our equipment. We haven't used it. I'm just doing it. Because if something goes wrong, I want to have it appropriated so that we can get something. Our older brush truck is basically, it's an 86. Doesn't have it has a lot of miles on 75,000. And actually the pumps and all that stuff don't have many hours on it or not, but it's an 86 Chevy, so we may end up getting ourselves a truck or rebuilding it or something in the near future. So I like to keep that in there almost as a contingency for a vehicle. And then we have a regular contingency just in there in case something goes wrong overall. We have a grant, our share of the grant match for the grant with Glide and Central Douglas for radios is $8,832 if we get it. Last year we had it was a higher total, it was 9,000 something, 97, let's see which one was it? 9607, but we didn't get the grant last year, so we're going for it again this year. It's a little bit cheaper. And then that would leave us, if we spent all that, it would leave us with $61,000 in reserve, but we're not going to expend all that. Our reserve is going to be down a little bit though. So that's there in the line items if you guys look at it. So $81,000 total everything in the world happened in that equipment fund, that's what would go out. And we would have 81,077 left. The grant fund's probably our healthiest fund. So we have resources coming in and resources going out, and basically, it's just, that fund is zero balance, whatever comes in goes back out. And so we have the fire communication grant, the FEMA side of it, $79,483. The VFA grant is $9,420, half the grant. FEMA and SAFER for about $140,000, that'll be the third year of 4 years. And then for the CWD fuel reduction grant, if we get it, that'll be $138,277. So that adds up to the 278, 277 there. And then the OSFM staffing grant this year is going to be $33,941, and that's supposed to be in our bank account this week, I believe. So total grant fund, if we get everything, is $401,121 in, and that'll be $401,121 back out to in the year. So altogether, with all the funds, the grants, and everything else, the total appropriation in the last few years has been in the millions because of the seismic grant, but now we're down to $603,470, and we have $86,833 unappropriated. Basically, it is a bank account sitting back, and then the total budget with everything would be $693,003. And that is that.
Thank you, Steve. So that covers our budget discussion, correct? That's our supporting information.
Right.
So we're ready, any public input? Anybody? Next, what's that, no public comments? Next meeting if needed, Steve, where are we at there?
It
Because we gotta
depends,
approve
if you
this.
guys, if you can approve this tonight, if you'd like to, then
Yep.
we'll meet on June 2nd, then the way that what'll happen next is we'll have a budget hearing at the June
Board meeting?
board meeting, and we'll have LB1s, an LB1's kind of a miniature of this budget, will be published in the newspaper,
Right,
and then we'll have the appropriations with a resolution at the board meeting.
perfect.
So we just need to make a motion to pass?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to pass the budget.
I'll second it.
All,
Go ahead.
Yeah,
we got seconds, yours?
Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
All right, motion carries, budget carries. Good job, Steve. Thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
Meeting.
But now we have to do something about
Yeah.
establishing the tax.
I know that Justin over here is cringing, because with having him here, we're really reaching out to the community. I guess I'll leave this on, I'm not saying anything bad. And so there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of stuff that we're trying to do everything we can with grants. We got a whole bunch of grant stuff going on right now. He's trying to get cardiac monitor, the same thing that the ambulances are using. They're about $40,000. We're looking for grants for that. We were talking about the clothing tonight, uniforms, radios, pagers. We're just trying to do everything by grant that we can. It's really great to have that source of money, but man, it's a lot of work getting them and then keeping track. The SAFER grant and the seismic grant have been just unbelievable, trying to keep track and then doing it. One thing about grants, last thing I want to say about them is when we, as the current administration in Washington transferred, a lot of stuff got stopped. And then now it's starting to come back. But when they stopped our SAFER grant in January, it's taken 3 months for it to get fired back up again. So we had a lot of money out. We have about, this starting balance and everything for July is based on the fact that we have about another $28,000 out to FEMA right now that they owe us. And it looks like it's coming back. And I don't know what the atmosphere for future grants. I don't know. It may come back in 4 years, or else it may come back now. It's and they're trying to determine what's important. And one thing about the CWDG grant, the fuel reduction grant, and a lot of these prevention grants across the country, they've totally canceled those. and disaster preparedness and all that kind of stuff. So that CWDG grant was supposed to, the results were supposed to be published in April, and we haven't heard anything about it. It's like nobody knows what's going on. So I just want to caution. There's a lot of grants in this world, but they're hard to get, and they're getting harder to get.
It's probably gonna get harder, Steve.
I have a lot of respect though for what's going on here local with the Seven Feathers, the Mercy Foundation and them. I mean, we've hit them, and we hit them, and we hit them, and I don't know how long they're gonna keep saying, yeah, but it's pretty good. I've got a lot of respect for them. I don't go gambling down at the casino much, but I guess I should.
You'll drop a few quarters.
And then we're always searching. There's another Spire grant coming up. Remember a few years back we got that generator. It's due here right after the 1st of June. So there's a bunch of cool equipment in there that would fit into here. Some really good communications equipment, I think, that might offset some of our needs too. So.
Well, I volunteered in the past to help you with your bathroom remodel, so you don't need to.
All right, we'll do that. Cool.
For the
There's a
downside
few other things I can do.
of the Spire grants though is at any time, so the way that the Spire grants work is they loan that equipment out to your department, and at any time they can say, no, give it back. So if we count on it, they can take it away at any time.
And then if a disaster happens statewide, it can go, it has to go there. So you have to create, like for our generator, that's one reason with 90, that thing we got from Vista, it's a 3/4 ton pickup will pull that generator. So if they have some need in Portland for it, they call you and say, hey, we need that generator, get it up here. So,
And so I set on the table 2 budgets. There's one for a cost of a brand new firefighter at
I saw that.
at a competitive wage. And then there's another one, it's a budget that what our department kind of saves the community. So what we save the community being a volunteer department, we save about, it says about $7 million. I don't agree with that fully, but the price of everything's going up. Like you're almost $750 million just for an engine nowadays. If anybody decided to build high, we'd have to start talking about aerial trucks, and you're up $2 million there. Like the new tender is a $750,000 piece of equipment. It's getting expensive, and I know I'm not a big tax person either, but unfortunately I wanted to bring out the volunteer savings, because if we do having to merge, there is a possibility that everybody's taxes go up to whoever department we merge with to their tax rate. Not trying to scare anybody, but I just want that to be known.
Everybody needs to understand the inevitability. I mean, if it wasn't for grants, I mean, all the things that we've been able to afford to do. It's the one thing about being on the board is we see how much money it costs to run fire department. And then we looked at, meeting with Fire District 2, or, now, what do they call it? It's called
Central Douglas.
Central Douglas
Yeah.
County. Looked at the options there, but the bottom line really boils down to is that, we're not getting enough money. I mean, you look at 91,000 off our tax base, that's if everything turns out well, and we're spending, we've got 600,000. I mean, there's a huge gap in between that. And most of them don't realize right now that's been made up just obviously through lots of due diligence and everything else. So I think that what will have to start being preached to the community is that if you want fire protection, if you want, services, it's gonna cost you more. And you have an option to voluntarily try and come up with a better solution, or mandatory, we'll have to turn it over to somebody else, and you have to pay whatever they're gonna sell. So, yeah, good point, Justin.
So the other point, because I know that there was some turmoil with going to NFPA certified equipment, when it came to like wildland boots, like the boots that Chief was talking about. So they're dual certified, they're about $330 a piece. But A
Pair.
pair. They-
Peace.
A pair.
You only get one boot.
Those boots, so they're certified for duty boots, so we can wear them around the station with the uniform. They're protective against bloodborne pathogens, and we can still wear them out on wildland fires. So they're compliant in the right places to use it for that kind of stuff. The downside, we can go with a cheaper boot. We can buy our firefighters a cheaper boot that's not NFPA compliant. It's about $120 a pair, I think is what they're going for now.
Go up 149 or something.
The downside is if our firefighters go out and they get hurt, and insurance finds out that we didn't give them certified equipment or even gear, so they recommend turnout gear is only good for 10 years. Helmets, everything, 10 years. If our firefighters go out with outdated equipment and they get hurt and insurance comes back, their insurance policies may not cover them. So and if we continuously change over as much as we're supposed to, like our budget's gonna skyrocket. Like we're stretching it with the, half of the hose, testing it annually. We're stretching with, the corners that we're rounding, not cutting, but rounding. We're making things work how we can, and we'll continue to do that as much as we can. But if we send our firefighters out, not only can their insurance not pay out to them because they're not in certified gear, but they can come in and they can shut the department down. So then we're without coverage.
Right.
So, there's a lot of stuff that goes in this, and I know a lot of people aren't fully aware of that. Like even going to a structure fire, I can't take one person in with myself, have two people in without having two people out unless there's extenuating circumstances. And if we cut that corner, actually cut that corner, not round the corner, but if we cut it and something happens to one of us, they can do the same thing, they can shut down their department. So there's a lot of things that some people just don't realize.
Take it for granted. When it's an emergency situation, the expectation and reality don't necessarily come into place.
Yep.
Thanks for all you guys do.
Well, National Standard it's what, 16 firefighters on a fire ground to do a structure fire?
Yeah, it's 60.
When we go over if we get people from the East Coast coming over to any of our fire schools and we're doing it with less people than 16, they're like, what are you guys doing? And it's like, well, this is how it is on the West Coast, We always,
What we got?
paid departments are running with 2 people per engine, and then they're lucky to backfill with students, so you might get 4 if you're lucky. And with us, we've talked, I'm going on an engine, if I'm in office and that alarm taps out, I'm going by myself at first to at least get eyes on, maybe get some water flowing exterior, and then, see what we got going and either call more people in or, start calling people off.
Hope another department shows up or something else, segregation.
Well, the neighborhood is gentrifying, but there's still a lot of people, and we're one of the highest communities who don't pay, like you said, that 6.8, 6.9. But if you raise the taxes and they still don't pay, well, you didn't really fix the problem. We are gentrifying and we are getting better quality residents that are building bigger houses and nicer properties. That's happening, but there's still a lot of old timers in this community that don't have that money. So I have a hard time with just doing a
Yeah, I need
raise.
to do that.
Did we
No,
adjourn?
we
No, we
have
need
a
to.
couple of motions to go through.
No, already did
What
the,
about the tax base?
Oh, that goes at the hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
out.
All right.
so do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Paul?
And we're more than likely, or more than welcome to discuss anything you want for the next hour.
So
All right.
I have an initial motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
I'm
David.
gonna need some water.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries, meeting adjourned, 8:43.